This is Edible Economics, bringing you the important topics of our times as we turn noisy headlines into bite-sized issues you can actually digest. This program is for information only, not investment advice. Here's Andrew Tang.
Welcome back to another episode to Edible Economics, where we break down the forces shaping businesses, markets, media, and the world around us. Today's episode, we feature a truly exceptional guest, Carolyn Wall. I'm very excited. A veteran executive whose career spanned from some of the most transformative era in American media, from helping launching W Magazine to leading New York Magazine to serving as VP and general manager of Fox 5 in New York during the rise of the Fox network. Carolyn has also had a front row seat to see how industry evolve, audiences shifts, and brands are built. So she has also helped build one of the first local television morning shows in the country. Can you guess? It's Good Day New York. She also led major media operations at Dow Jones, Newsweek, and advised companies navigating the digital transformation long before it became mainstream. So beyond the boardroom, Carolyn has also been a leader in civic and professional organizations, championing innovation, inclusion, and strategic growth throughout her career. My goodness, that's a long list right there. So today we're going to talk about energy, inflation, and AI. Welcome to the show, Carolyn.
Well, thank you, Andrew. I'm thrilled to be here.
Well, yeah, it's about time. You know, I think we only talked about this, for like 2-3 years?
We finally got it
had
right.
the opportunity. Yeah, we finally have the opportunity. Yeah, so the three things we're going to talk about today, one is the $5 gas economy. We're actually not there yet, but we'll talk about it a little bit later. And then secondly, from Hormuz to Whole Foods, okay, inflation, we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk also about the third thing, AI. Can AI lower the cost faster than inflation rises? All right, so let's get started. So firstly, let's begin with some of the most notable things, which is gasoline prices. Now, according to AAA fuel prices, I actually see the national average only at $4.031 for, I guess, the standard unleaded gasoline. That's the national average. In California, I think that is the most expensive state. California, it's $5.84. So $5.84 for a gallon of regular gasoline. It's even cheaper than Hawaii, believe it or not. Hawaii, it's only at $5.63. So actually Hawaii is a little bit higher. So correction with that. And Alaska, $4.65. So somewhere around there, but national average is still $4. So Carolyn, what do you think about this price, and how do you think American families, including yourself, how is this affecting your spending, your lifestyle? You know, I guess the emotions around this higher gas prices.
Yeah, I'm reminded on my first trip to Italy in 1974, first generation Italian. My father was born in Bologna, so I couldn't wait to get there. One of my, before we had any of this conversation about energy and pricing, I do recall that the cost of a gallon of gas was close to $5 at that point in time. And so we are maybe spoiled, maybe not aware, but this range of energy pricing is not new in many parts of the world. So we're relating it to really very low price for energy that we have had, at least energy and that we use in our everyday lives, like car, gasoline.
We've been spoiled.
We have been spoiled. We have been spoiled, and maybe
sure.
it's catching up, and we need to manage it. The problem is that we're very reliant on cars in this country, and the EV business has its ups and downs, but I don't think enough people own electric powered, or whatever you want to call them, vehicles as was projected initially. And we're kind of between a rock and a hard place, because we have to figure out how to lower the cost of fuel, because Americans aren't used to paying at this level, and promoting the use and purchase of more efficient vehicles. I don't know how to do that, but in other parts of the world, fuel efficient vehicles are selling better. So I think in many cases, it's It's a messaging and learning experience.
Yeah, it's true because European gas prices are much, much higher. I actually have done a piece to talk about how expensive fuel, basically gasoline around the world. Hong Kong is the highest, believe it or not. It's like 15, when you do the conversion, Hong Kong is like $15 a gallon because they sell it by liters. Yeah, that's how crazy it is.
That is crazy.
So that's why in Hong Kong and, cities like that, you really need to use public transportation. And it's very good. But I have to say, especially people living in California, you can't really use public transportation. But my question is, Carolyn, going back to you, is that have you done anything different from day to day life, meaning your lifestyle, because of this higher gas prices? Because you do drive around, right? On a daily basis?
Yeah, well, I live in the suburbs, so it requires transportation of some kind, whether you want to use Uber or your own car.
Right.
You're not going to be able to rely on public transportation in an efficient way, for sure. But I think that what's beneficial about what we're going through now is that there will be more attention paid to our infrastructure in this country. It is
Yeah,
way behind Europe, for
absolutely.
instance.
Yeah.
And if we are motivated because of public pressure or resistance to paying for new cars and paying for the fuel that we need to operate them, then maybe some money will be spent on infrastructure. To be sort of dumb about this, sometimes I'm waiting in a line of cars under an overpass in Connecticut where I live, and I look up and around and oh my God, it's just horrible condition. And you visit other parts of the world and their infrastructure, even the simple things like that, are in much better shape. So
Absolutely.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
I
It's one of
absolutely see that. Yeah. And the US economy, surprisingly, it's actually quite resilient. We have data showing that even though, for example, consumer sentiment it's weak, people are worrying about the longevity of their jobs, if it's going to be sustainable, for example. I think everybody have talked about how AI is going to replace a lot of the workers. It is still, meaning the jobs market is holding up quite well for
Mhm.
now. But at the end of the day, when I look at spending patterns, America is spending. We have the latest data from American Express and ADP. People are spending. People are still spending money, meaning the US economy is reflecting its resiliency, which is good. So, I'll leave it at that. I think the $5 403 right now. I think the little bit higher gas prices is more psychologically affecting us versus actually affecting us because I don't think the households are cutting down on their spending in general because of the higher gas prices.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just like to see, and I haven't, I've heard it referenced only, but what the correlation is between the rising cost of even bread, eggs, I guess, is behind us, and fuel to personal debt
Yeah.
and credit.
You know, that's a great point because this segues perfectly to our second topic, which is from Hormuz to Whole Foods, right? So this is the blockage and the conflict. I'm not getting into all that. We don't have time to talk about all that. But basically, the conflict with the situation in Iran between U.S., it's causing the blockage in the Straits of Hormuz, and goods are not passing through, as they were before. And so as we know, as we learned that the Straits of Hormuz controls about or transports about 20% of global oil. So you have fertilizers, you have goods, all kinds of goods in shipping containers that are not passing through. So as a result, we just want to focus on, we want to shine a light on how the food prices are effective because fertilizers ultimately will cause food prices to go up eventually. There is a lagging effect. But if we connect the dots, we could see that, just like what you said before, the egg prices have come down because why? Because chicken grows quicker, right? But
Yep.
other food items will take a little bit longer. And obviously, when you go shopping, do you see the prices are higher
Oh,
versus before, for example?
absolutely. And what I notice as well is the number of empty storefronts and restaurants that have gone out of business because the cost of eating out is what I've also really noticed has gone up exponentially. And we didn't, eat out a lot, but even to the degree that we did, I see the difference just in 6 months' time. And so people aren't doing that. That's definitely expendable, right? So it's hurting small businesses, particularly in towns like the one I live in, where there are a lot of families and a lot of commuters, and people have, what would I say, recreational interests, and they spend money eating out or buying food and cooking out, whatever. And it's just much higher, much higher. And
Yeah.
I don't understand why this country doesn't have a commission of some kind that, and I'm not talking about military commission, I'm talking about a body of experts that can be evaluating what effect this has on that ahead of time before we see it play out and begin to hurt people on a day-to-day basis. We don't have any watchdog agent. I guess there used to be a consumer, who headed it, I've forgotten, but consumer watchdog agency, but that isn't exactly the same thing. What I'm talking
Yeah,
about,
I think what you're relating to is like we should have a strategic economic advisory board or something like
yeah,
that will
exactly.
basically monitor all kinds of signals using simulations, and also maybe through AI we can see what the chess moves are going to be, right? Before, or what could be the results, and play the what if scenario. But connecting the dots before, oil is not just gasoline. It powers transportation, farming equipment, packaging, plastics, for example, and shipping and all that. So it does have a ripple effect through the system. Yeah. So,
And what hasn't been discussed very much is the effect that this straits strangulation or less transportation through the straits doing to medicine, because a lot of products and services that serve hospital systems and equipment is coming through as well. And it isn't as much as gasoline for cars, so it doesn't get as much attention. But the medical business, if you want to call it business, and it is, but the health industry is suffering, and it will suffer more as a consequence of this reduction in the flow of traffic. So there are
yeah.
a lot. That's the kind of thing that a commission would be looking at. You know, how is this affecting people in a hospital? And it takes a certain way of thinking to put something like this together, and it's not going to happen anytime soon. But we are missing it. We are
Yeah,
missing it.
that is true. That is true. Now let's talk about AI now. Obviously, AI has been flooding the headlines, and I think a lot of people have already gotten AI fatigue, from hearing it too much. About, let's think about this, Carolyn. Let's think about this. How, for the optimistic side of the conversation, can artificial intelligence help reduce the costs faster than inflation pushed them up, you think?
Depends on the industry. And
Yeah.
the cost of energy for AI is astronomical.
Yeah.
And we haven't figured that out either. But the little that I've read suggests that those costs are going to transcend anything we've seen before. So as we build facilities that generate AI, the energy needs for those facilities is gigantic.
It is. It is. Yeah. The demand for electricity, absolutely demand for oil growth, for example. And most recent data has shown that the demand for fossil fuel has increased roughly about 1.4 to 1.3%, because has come down from the past decades. But the demand for electricity has been growing steadily at 3%, you know. And so it's true, absolutely. I would think that, for example, applying artificial intelligence, even in logistics, it will greatly improve the efficiency of transporting goods from, from farm to table, let's just say, all the way from the makers to the consumers. And also how we can use artificial intelligence to promote productivity and efficiency, I think in the businesses eventually will lead to lower prices. So would you agree to that?
Yeah, I don't know how that is accomplished in getting food, let's just say broadly food, from farm to table. I mean, how do you eliminate the trucks or the transportation that moves those products to markets or where people are able to buy food?
Yeah, well, you can improve the efficiency using artificial intelligence by making the routes more efficient. And then in terms of keeping inventory, logistics wise, AI is a great tool to improve efficiency, less waste. For example, even UPS and FedEx have a program that is enhanced by AI by eliminating the truck needing to make a left turn. So they always make
Oh,
right turns, right? So something simple like that will greatly reduce one, accident rates, and then two is the efficiency in their routing. So I am very hopeful. And at the end of the day, the word is productivity. And
yeah.
productivity is going to show more relevancy within the CEO conversation, especially in this first quarter earnings report. We are in the midst of the Q1 earnings season right now. So, yeah, hidden cost, obviously, that consumers really see, which is the back office routing and efficiency delay. These exist, but I think AI over time will be able to help in that situation.
How is that effectively measured? I mean,
The
making a left turn over a right turn, or a right turn over a left turn, for instance. Do individuals, companies make those assessments, or does
well,
AI do the whole thing?
No, this basically simulated, so we don't have that much time to go into all that. But for example, UPS and FedEx, they use a system that measures how many turns they make and what is the time to distance. And then if you involve left turns, then obviously it takes more time and you increase the probability of getting into an accident much higher. So by eliminating the need for making left turns, your routes become one, safer, and two, more efficient from that perspective. So this is some of the logistics science that can go in there, and obviously AI can help improve the efficiency from there. So in closing, we covered the $5 gas economy. Obviously, it's not exactly $5 yet. The price of food has gone up in the past years. I would say it hasn't really started to come down yet, but some of the volatile items like eggs that, for example, that you mentioned, it has gone up and it's also come down. So that's the same reason why the Federal Reserve decided not to raise rates to deal with this short-term inflation spike due to the oil situation. Because by the time the effectiveness of this rate hike, if the Fed did raise rate, takes place, the oil situations in his belief is going to be self-correcting. So from that front. So in closing, again, great conversation with you, Carolyn. I'm very, very delighted to have you on the show. And who knows, what we're going to be talking about next. Probably we're going to talk about how we measure efficiency and more on AI.
Yeah.
So again, I'm very happy to have you on the show. Thank you. And we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Hope so.
The views expressed on Edible Economics are for informational purposes only and do not constitute an offer to buy or sell any securities. Market conditions can change without notice, and past performance is never a guarantee of future results. Investment involves risk, including the possible loss of principal. Andrew Tang and Turner Financial Group Incorporated do not provide tax, legal, or accounting advice. You should consult with your own professional advisors before making any financial decisions. Turner Financial Group is an SEC-registered investment advisor. For more information, please visit advisorinfo.sec.gov. Advisory services are only provided where properly licensed and under a formal client service agreement.